We have a really light agenda tonight. So the first one is from our city administrator, and it's an RBA proposed use tax for police services and street maintenance.
Okay.
Kathy, you have the floor.
Good evening. Let me pull up my right. Can you guys see that? Oops. Nothing. Okay. With me, sorry.
Hey, Kathy, I have the presentation if you'd like me to share my screen and show it.
Sure, that's great. All right. Thank you. And does that mean you're controlling it, Rose?
Yes, yes. If you just want to tell me when you'd like me to forward it, I can.
Sure. Okay. If you can move to the next slide. So one of the things I wanted to discuss with the board is whether we should consider a use tax and placing that on the April ballot. Just for some background information for everyone on what a use tax is. It is a tax similar to a sales tax that applies to online and out-of-state purchases. It does not apply when you go to the store. You know, brick and mortar buildings are already covered by a sales tax. This is the tax that would apply to online purchases, and it creates fairness between our local retailers and online. Next slide.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. My recommendation is that we would use the funds for police services. As the board knows, we recently engaged St. Charles County for 2 additional officers, bringing the total cost for those police services up over $650,000. I think they're doing an excellent job. I think it's the enforcement that we need, but it is quite costly. And then street maintenance, resurfacing, patching, and long-term repairs. Those costs only continue to go up for us. And I'm concerned with our long-term ability to fund adequately these necessary maintenance items. Next slide. Just to give everybody some background, general fund revenue, the city is heavily reliant on sales tax. You can see that more than 52% of our revenues come from sales tax. So our personal property and real estate taxes are only accounting for about 14%. I know we hear from residents all the time, oh my gosh, the taxes that we pay. Well, very little of that is actually going to the city of Darden Prairie. So, for example, on a home valued at $450,000, with an overall tax bill of over $4,800, $65 goes to the city of Darden Prairie. That is not enough to provide even basic services for each household. So, you know, we're heavily reliant on the general fund, on sales tax for our revenues. Next slide. The concern here is that online shopping has reduced our traditional sales tax revenue. So people, we all do it. We buy a lot more online than we actually do in the stores. And so we're seeing, it raises a concern about the long-term revenues we're going to receive from traditional sales tax. As I pointed out earlier, our police and street costs continue to rise. Many of our neighboring cities here in St. Charles County already have a use tax. O'Fallon, Wentzville, I can't see my notes, sorry, to fill in the blanks, but many of our local cities here in St. Charles County, including the city and the county, all have a use tax to provide additional revenue for essential city services. I do want to note for the board that the city did seek approval for a use tax in 2018 and 2021. Next slide. Just to be clear, in terms of impact on residents, it's not a new tax on purchases they're already making in Dardenne Prairie. It applies only to the online purchases. And again, it brings that fair balance support that we need for essential services so that your online purchases are taxed just like your in-store purchases would be. Next slide. So the question I have for the board is, should the city place a 2.5% use tax on the April ballot to provide, to continue to provide for our essential city services?
Thanks, Kathy. So open it up to the board at this point. Does the board have any questions about the use tax, what it is, anything, any points of clarification related to that?
Yes, I do. Is there any conflicts, and I guess this question, John Young, since we already have a half-cent sales tax for our road improvements, is there any conflicts with adding additional tax on top of that? No. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that was clear. The other question I have is, how is it monitored to know that people in Dardenne Prairie are buying?
If I could, I did go out to the Department of Revenue, and they are already tracking what would be eligible use sales for Dardenne Prairie. And for 24, that was estimated to be about $54 million. So the use tax would generate about $1 million in additional revenue to the city that we could use for these essential city services.
I guess my question is, how do they track whether you're in Dardenne Prairie or not?
Oh, the online vendors are required by your shipping address, your purchasing address to apply the tax.
I mean, because most the stuff, they don't even accept Dardenne Prairie, they only accept O'Fallon.
Yeah.
When you're shipping things. Because we use their zip code, because we will never get a post office in Dardenne Prairie to get our own zip code.
Right. So the vendors are required to do that based on address, and it's not based on zip code. It's the full street address that's used to determine whether the tax applies for Dardenne Prairie or not. Just like now, purchases that you're making online aren't being taxed. The software that these vendors are using knows and recognizes that that's not a use tax location. So the same is true once you adopt a use tax, then they have to update their software to include our addresses to apply the tax on the purchase.
Right. So you said O'Fallon already has that?
They do. O'Fallon does. St. Charles, Wentzville, Lake St. Louis, City of St. Charles, and the county.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're definitely missing out.
I have a question. How would we market it to our residents? is there a way we'll do this, or just put it on ballot, or is something we'll do beforehand to explain the situation and why we're looking for this?
Sure, I think that a strong educational campaign is needed. I think one of the challenges I think we have in my own personal conversations with residents is their misunderstanding about how much of their real estate taxes actually go to Darden Prairie. So they know they're paying, as I gave the example, $4,800, and they think that's all, a big chunk of that's coming to us. And as I shared, $65 of that is coming to us. Majority of that is the school district. And then you have the emergency districts, both the fire and ambulance, that are getting most of those tax dollars. So their actual tax dollars for the city services that they're receiving is very low. And I think that's important for them to understand. The nice thing about a sales tax is that it spreads that revenue out over others, right? So when the people that are shopping in our local stores aren't necessarily Darden Prairie residents. So with the sales tax piece, at least we are spreading that out among people who don't even live here. The use tax, of course, would be based on address for those online purchases. So it would impact our residents, but it is as I said, concerns related to us being able to continue to fund and meet the standards of our community for street maintenance and police services in particular, I think is going to be more and more challenging as we go forward. This budget that we presented for 26, we're dipping into some of those cash balances that we had. And that's only going to work for a couple of years. And then, we're going to be cash strapped for funding.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Okay, thanks, Kathy. So a couple of things too. This is out-of-state vendors that this would be applicable to. Would be one of the things that I'd like to ask a little more clarity on is what is it, the over $2,000? What was the $2,000 clause about, John? Can you talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, there's if the company selling the goods does not collect the tax, there's a self-reporting requirement. That self-reporting requirement is only triggered if purchases in excess of $2,000 are made annually.
Yeah. Okay, so this is really, we're looking at primarily large vendors like Amazon and some other out-of-state large vendors like that who would be collecting and putting this tax forward. Is that correct?
Yes, that is largely correct.
Okay.
2,000 for one purchase or the whole year?
The whole year, cumulative.
So all that to be said, any other questions or discussion on this from the board? Any further direction from the board on this?
It's state law.
So from this, does the board agree with putting this forward into an ordinance? Can I get a show of hands from the board who believes we should push this forward into a use tax to move forward into the next meeting to establish an ordinance to put this on the ballot for April? So 1, 2, 3, 4. So, okay. So do we, all right, well, let's go ahead and do a roll call vote. So, okay. Entertain a motion for roll call vote to put this on the agenda and for the next meeting. Moved by Alderman Johnson, second by Alderman Gittmeyer. All in favor? Any opposed? None heard. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Wilson. Alderman Johnson. Alderman Nay. Alderman Waters. Alderman Gettemeyer. Alderman Detweiler.
Aye.
4 yeas, 1 no, 1 abstain.
Okay, passes. All right, so we will put it on the agenda for the second meeting in December. Okay, that's all we have for the items for discussion and consideration other than the regular Board of Aldermen agenda. So I would like to open up the floor to the board for any discussion for tonight's regular meeting agenda.
Mayor, we would like to go for Ward 1. I passed out some pictures here. This is from Pinnacle Point.
Is this on the agenda, Alderman?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said, I apologize.
So,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
No
No,
worries.
no, I'm sorry. I thought you was, I thought you were staff communications. I
Yeah.
apologize.
No, we were on number 2,
I'm sorry.
review of the Board of Aldermen.
That's my
agenda
fault.
for tonight.
I
No worries.
apologize.
We're going to go right to it, so what you thought? Okay, so nothing else from the board on the regular meeting agenda tonight?
No.
None heard. Okay, City Attorney.
I have nothing, Mayor.
City Engineer is not here. City Administrator.
Sure. I've got a couple things and I'll cover for Matt too, who had his baby girl, and is off on maternity leave. Under Matt's responsibilities is snow removal. As the board is aware, and maybe the public is not fully aware, we are no longer serviced by the county. And we went out for bids and solicited for bids for that service for this year, and we've contracted with Scharf Construction. I will say these first 2 snows have been a challenge for them, and one of the concerns is that their salt storage is located in St. Peter's. And so they're spending a lot of time traveling back and forth to St. Peter's for salt. We are going to be locating salt storage here in Darden Prairie, so that will make it more accessible to them and provide them better access, hopefully improve on that. We have a meeting with Scharf on Friday to discuss expectations. I don't feel that they've met the city's expectations in these first 2 events. And we're going to have some serious conversation about what we expect in terms of our servicing related to snow removal. I appreciate the board for taking the time and providing some of the feedback. To be honest, we have not had a lot of calls to City Hall, less than 2 handfuls. So, the feedback that you guys hear and share with us is important to that as well, so that we can focus in on where they missed some of the subdivisions they just missed altogether. I think part of that is, we have some complicated looking borders. And so trying to figure out for sure which subdivisions are in and out. I appreciate can be a little bit of a challenge, but sometimes they missed a subdivision right smack dab in the middle of other subdivisions that they did. So that doesn't really make any sense. So I think there's some work to do with them, and I'm hopeful that they'll be able to get there and meet our expectations on snow removal. Are there any questions from the board that I can answer specific to that?
I do have a question. Kathy, I think you did a good job, and I think they tried. Did we ever see their actual trucks they utilize for a snow removal? Did we actually put an eye to them? Did the city ever see it?
I believe that Matt, well, we had descriptions on the trucks that they would be using, what size trucks they were and that kind of thing. That was part of their bid proposal. So we do have details on what trucks they are using. And if the board recalls, we had 1 bidder for these services.
I am not complaining. I'm just asking. Just wanted to know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We had a subdivision HOA meeting yesterday, and that was one comment that their HOA said is they thought that they were small trucks going through their subdivision, smaller than the county used. And I'm sure part of it was the fact that the timing was bad and the results weren't great. So then they're probably trying to figure out why it was that way. And maybe they're thinking the truck size, I don't know. But that was a comment that they made. And then they also said no salt was put on some of the streets.
Yep.
So
Yep, we observe that as well.
Yes, my question is, are we the ones dispatching them? Are they dispatching, or how does this system work?
We are the ones who are supposed to dispatch them. We're supposed to be in conversation with them. They took the initiative on Saturday to dispatch themselves and never even shared with us they had dispatched. And then we dispatched them on, was it Monday, Tuesday? Monday, right? When that snow hit. And they were caught up in the traffic accidents and things like that, just getting to Darden Prairie to start their snow removal operations on Monday.
I have one more question, Kathy. I'm sorry. Can I call you one
Uh-huh.
again? Can we call them to pre-treat our roads? Is that something we can do? And this is something we should probably, I should have asked a long time ago, but I'm asking now when it's in the midst of winter. Is pre-treating something we can do?
Yes, pre-treating is something we can do.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Kathy, I just wanted to let you know that I had absolutely no complaints in our subdivision about them. You know, the one thing I will say about them, they come through, they clean the streets, and they get out. The county constantly was coming back in and cleaning the streets and dragging those blades on the concrete 3 and 4 times during a big snow. And I just feel like that was part of the reason our streets at the corners and at the partitions were being chipped out. So, I mean, they came in, they got the street cleared, and they were gone, and we didn't need them back. So the only complaint I have is on MoDOT.
I know.
And I called them myself yesterday and told them that, they have got to get in cleared from Bryan down to where their maintenance ends towards Bates Village. It's just about at that older home or that, and they have a sign that says MoDOT maintenance ends. So there's no reason they should not clean that road. And then they came out within about an hour and were working on that road, but we had cars in the ditches on that road because there is no shoulder. So, I mean, that is my only complaint is we got to stay on top of MoDOT to keep them cleaning that road.
Okay, I'm making a note for Joe.
Yeah. I used Joe's email from the other snow, and that's how I got a hold of the guy to talk to him. So
Great. I do want to commend Joe in this. He has been trying to stay on top of Sharf. Said multiple conversations with them over these events. And he has actually been driving the subdivisions to identify gaps in service. And, we shouldn't have to do that. But he has put in a lot of hours, 16 hours over the weekend alone, just trying to stay on top of Sharf, and has experienced some of the same frustrations with these first events. Okay, I will move on. Alderman Johnson, you had some two issues related to the budget that's on the agenda this evening. You had asked that the line item for iPads for the board be changed to technology instead of specific to iPads. Is that, when we get to the budget, that would be an item you would need to amend at that
Correct.
time?
Correct.
Just, and need board approval to amend it. Great. You'd also asked us questions about mowing, because the board had asked us during the budget session to get some, quotes for third-party services for mowing. Unfortunately, with Matt out and Joe managing snow and my office being boxed up because of the new furniture install, we have not been able to pull together all of that information for you. So my recommendation is that if that is critical to approving the budget, that you delay approving the budget until the December 17th meeting. So that we have a little more time to pull together all of that information. I think, I understand the concern. You want to make sure we have the most cost-effective services for mowing. I can say that my understanding from my conversations with Matt before he left was that it would be significantly more for us to contract for mowing services, but I want to get that information for you so you can actually review it. I will say, especially in light of this snow plowing experience, one concern I would have with third-party mowing services is the quality control. I feel like that's another area that our citizens have a high expectation on. And we've been disappointed by MoDOT and their job there. And we've agreed to take over that mowing. And so I would be a little concerned from a third-party perspective and having the quality control over those services.
I understand. I'd just like to see the date on it.
Sure, I
See
understand.
where we were. And I was also curious in my request to know all the locations that we do mow and where they are. And I mean, I'm sure that's probably a significant part of a bid, that they have to go to different locations, especially if they're small ones and stuff like that. So I was just really curious in the locations and the actual dollar amount, and with purchasing new mowing equipment and all that, I think it weighs in.
It's a reasonable question, and I'm sorry we weren't able to provide the data this evening.
Does the board wish to delay the vote for the budget for this data, or is this something that we can continue to look into moving forward?
I think there's going to be a lot of questions yet still on this budget coming forward in the meeting. Go on to the second reading. So,
Well, we have the opportunity to discuss the review of the Board of Aldermen agenda on items for discussion and consideration, and you think there's going to be more that's going to be in the regular meeting?
yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, so you want to wait and table that question until the regular meeting then? Is that the implication of the board?
That would be my suggestion.
Okay. All right, sounds good. City Administrator, anything else from you?
No, that covers it. Thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, so Alderman. Ryan, I think this is, if you wanted to.
We had a great meeting the other day with our residents in Pinnacle Point. Can you pass this down? I showed everybody videos. Rose, do you mind showing some of the pictures? Our residents are going through issues on the FISE side of Pinnacle Point. As you see in the pictures here, there is multiple, how can I say this? Bad concrete. There was a lot of trash. What are these called again? I'm so sorry. Yeah, they're not taken care of properly. And we just want to make sure, and then also when you go to a picture like this was trash they found, they pulled out of the sewers when they put those blockage systems in there. I want to know in what we can do to ensure that we don't have this issue anymore. And also just to find out, are there other issues around the city that we don't might know about? I know Jeff is doing a good job kind of going around, but cracks in our concrete, and it's supposed to be new concrete. And then they throw the extra concrete just in the grass. Our residents, Darting Prairie, are, we pay a lot for our homes, and we don't want to see that on our side streets when we're walking our dogs. There's some other issues that I'll let residents talking about people throwing bottles in our yards around the neighborhood, which is not great. And I think our officers are trying to help out with that situation. But just making sure that we are actually looking into these issues that we're having around our streets, and to make sure that we're taking care of those issues, and to make sure we're seeing them in live time. Laura, do you want to, Alderman?
Yeah, the one thing, it seems like it's kind of twofold. There's quality control on concrete, and a lot of times it's new concrete, and the cleanup at a construction site that is not great. The one picture has wheelbarrows full of materials that were collected by residents trying to clean up the areas. And, and their comment was, for concrete that's not even a year old, it shouldn't be cracking and having issues like they are. So, and I don't think their points are unreasonable. I think they're very reasonable, and you would expect concrete to last more than 1 year. And, we talk about, I do feel better having a dedicated city engineer employee that is going to be able to hopefully help more with quality control, because I know a lot of times we're focused on getting the low bid, but sometimes you don't want to get the low bid if you're sacrificing quality.
And then, Kathy, I have a question for you, and it's really for our city engineer. Is there a way to test concrete? Can Kathy still hear us?
Yeah, Kathy can see it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry, forgot to unmute. Yes, there is a way to test concrete. I'm sorry, I'm not clear on, is this within the Pinnacle Point subdivision?
Yes. It's on the FISE side.
Okay,
Did you hear me?
I did hear you. So this is within Pinnacle Point on the FISE side.
Yes, ma'am.
So first of all, we have a dedication process. So when new roads are constructed in a subdivision, the developer has responsibilities, and they have to be inspected by the city before they're dedicated to us. I don't know the status of that. Is Pinnacle Point complete?
Oh, no. That was core. You're thinking about the Prairie Encore?
Yeah.
And we're talking about the opposite side of that.
I just sent you the picture that's being shopped around here. I think you can see the other ones on the screen, but there's a hard copy here that has
Thank you.
A map chip with, I believe, numbers that are associated with the pictures.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor.
Mhm. Now, to be clear, I see what the intent was on this, but there's no numbers on any of these. So there's numbered here, which is good. It's a good.
No,
so somebody was very thorough with this, and
real quick, Mayor, I just want to make sure you know, Rose helped us out. The numbers are supposed to are on the emails that we sent to Rose. We can actually send them to you, and they are numbered that way. But
Yeah.
We were trying to make sure that we can all see it today. So that's
Yeah.
want to make sure you know that. I'm so sorry. But
no
yeah, we do
worries.
have a number though,
Nope,
and we can share it with you, and we can share it with the board if need be.
And the person that took these pictures is here tonight, so he's going to get up and speak, but we can hear some of his comments too.
So a couple of questions. Has this been reported to the city staff?
I believe so. We can get confirmation when Wes comes up here, our resident. But yes, we talked about Amy they would talk to Amy about these things, and so the answer is yes. And I know Matt has called up here multiple times. He told me about these issues as well too.
conversation with a gentleman named Matt
Uh,
to O'Fallon trying to confirm responsibility. And I do know that our city engineer, Matt, reached out to O'Fallon November 14th, to ask about support for pothole repair. We don't have the equipment and in particular, the safety equipment to patch it ourselves if we're talking about potholes. It sounds like there's a lot of issues here, not just pothole issues, but so we would need to contract for repair services here for these items if O'Fallon's not willing to enter into an agreement with us to do the repairs. I don't know the history on the construction of FISE through this section. Being new to the city, I'm sorry, I don't know when that was constructed, but we do have concrete test processes as part of our.
Ryan and FISE, Kathy.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kathy, we can talk about this when you get here, so you actually see what we're saying. So it's okay. We want to make sure we voice it, but
Yeah.
we can wait when we get here. Is that
I
right,
think it's
Kathy?
also important too, we get someone from the city engineering perspective.
Yeah,
in
I
this
agree.
as
No.
well. So, but no, I think it's worthy. To Kathy's point, I think it is, these, the standard process of this is, reported to the city, and as long as that's been,
Yes.
if these have all been entered into our tracking process, then it goes into the system, then this would certainly be follow-up and some deeper dive and discussion on it. So, but either way, we don't have a city engineer in front of us right now.
No,
and I think there's a
we're
lot
not
of-
complaining about that.
There's quite a bit of, stuff happening here that is certainly worthy of attention and concern, but just to probably avoid any further confusion, I would say let's maybe table this. We'll definitely listen to the residents as they bring these problems forward and their concerns with it as well. And then we can kind of move to discuss further between, today and the next meeting as well, and develop a plan and a strategy for it. So, but all good stuff. Thank you for bringing this to the city's attention, and thank you for the residents who have reported this through to the city staff as well as to the aldermen. So,
Thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome.
anything additional from the other aldermen?
I do want to say one more thing. I want to say thank you we did donate a little bit to the EDC, correct? The funds to the EDC for their holiday party. Is that correct? If we did, I want to make sure we say thank you. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah, Kathy? Yeah, yeah.
She said yes.
I don't know that this year, there was a contribution made to the EDC. I mean, we make an annual contribution to the EDC, but I'd have to check and see if there was one specifically for the annual party this year.
Yeah, I personally made a contribution and brought some canned goods up there,
Okay.
but speak to that.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Thank you very much. All right, I'm done. Thank you.
Mayor,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd just like to thank the staff, especially the volunteers that came up last Saturday during the snowstorm. We had our pancake breakfast with Santa. We did have about half the people show up that registered, but even Jeff was out here shoveling snow. Dan was another one out here shoveling snow, volunteering. But it was still an exciting, good time for the kids that did show. But I want to thank the staff for really putting forth a good effort and putting that on a snowy Saturday morning.
Thank you. Anybody else? Nothing heard? Well, just to echo Alderman Johnson and his sentiments there, it was a successful event last Saturday. The big man came into all the way down from the North Pole here to Darden Prairie, and our kids had a good chance to sit with him and there was plenty of time with Santa Claus because of the snow that actually inhibited some of the folks from coming. So it was a great experience. The pancakes were delicious, so was the rest of the breakfast, and it's a great event. And if you get a chance next year and you got kids and grandkids, it's certainly worth it. And thanks to the staff for setting it up and coming up here, as Mark said, as well as for cleaning and getting everything prepped as well. I showed up, I was very impressed. The sidewalks were salted and cleaned, and everybody had chipped in and really just made it happen, and it was a very nice event. So, yeah, to kind of talk a little bit more, Kathy touched on the snow removal. This is a new contract, and this is something that I want to give Kathy and Joe specifically a tip of the hat and commend them for their efforts with managing the snow. There's, you know, with any new contract and you know, there's a learning curve, and I think we're fortunate enough in this case that it's you know, early on, and we're able to learn from these things, and that's Kathy and I've had many discussions, I'm sure she'll say, and we've certainly been holding them accountable for the contract, and it's something that I am very committed to do. You know, they're paid to do a job, and Kathy's, you know, and I have been discussing, we're certainly making sure that's going to happen. Safety of our residents is our, you know, top priority, is what I've expressed to Kathy, and we need to make sure that the roads are treated accordingly and then they're done in a timely manner, and we're working through some of those kinks right now. And again, I got to thank Kathy and Joe. Joe's who's taken the mantle up in the absence of our city engineer, Matt, who is on leave with his young daughter, who they just, as Kathy mentioned, just had. So thank everybody for your patience with as we work through this transition to own our own snow plowing services and work with them and get things straight. And please do let us know if there's any additional concerns or questions that you guys have related to that. We're working diligently to try to make sure that this is, you know, the standards are held high. And thanks again to the board. We reached out and talked to a lot of you guys over, really wanted to get feedback. You guys are the eyes and ears on the ground when it comes to these things, and it helps the city staff and helps us become better at what we do and understand, you know, where we need to press a little bit harder or where we may have missed things. So thanks to the board as well for your support and cooperation over the last couple of snow events this past week. That's pretty much all I have. I'll save the additional, any comments I have for the next session. So that being said, we've got about 15 minutes before the next meeting. So we'll adjourn till 7 o'clock and then move into the regular meeting. So can I entertain a motion to adjourn the work session? So moved by Alderman Gittemeyer, second by Alderman Detweiler. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None heard. This meeting is adjourned.